Our objectives today will be to discuss the communication flow between C4 and CalHEERS. We'll review the new screens that were created so that we can capture the data that has been captured in CalHEERS. Review the revised screens, review MAGI determination request and the message center functionality, and we will end our presentation by reviewing the images and notices of actions that will be stored in the system. I see that we are being asked to talk a little louder, is everyone able to hear me now? We'll play a little Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now? Thank you for your responses. Now, to give you a little background or overview, the CalHEERS project will provide a unified access point for clients to apply for medical benefits and select insurance plans. In order to receive and capture the information collected by the covered California agents, new interfaces with the SAW system will be built to send and receive data. C4 has made changes to existing pages and has added new pages in order to capture the information and run EDBC through an external rules engine. There are 13 new pages that have been created, and there are existing pages that have been changed as well. For example, one of the pages that were changed is the targeted low-income families. It will now be known as the interagency summary, or IAT. But before we talk about the changes in additional pages, let's review some key terms and review how information will move between C4 and CalHEERS systems. Our communication flow. The key terms that we're going to be discussing is the eligibility determination request, the determination of eligibility response, or as you can see on the screen, it's referred to as DER, disposition, change reporting, and document manifest. These are actually batch types that have been added to C4. There's 5 of them. The EDR is C4 to CalHEERS. DER, again, is CalHEERS to C4, and disposition is C4 to CalHEERS. That is how the information flows. But all 3 of these batches are in real time, so whenever you hit or click on the submit button, that information is sent right then, right now, to either C4 or to CalHEERS. Updates can be initiated by either system in an overnight batch. The document manifest, images or NOAAs, that's a file that's included with the images that are sent over in the encrypted zip file. It includes the case name, ID, county image type, etc. It can be initiated by either system in an overnight batch process. The batch system ensures that the 2 systems can communicate the changes and referrals to one another along with the resulting eligibility determination. So here we're seeing how the information flows from CalHEERS. Our covered California agent has been working with a consumer for them to get their health insurance. So they've gathered all the customer data and sent that information to the federal hub. And then the federal hub has taken that information and compared it to its databases and then sent back e-verification to the customer or to CalHEERS. Now CalHEERS will then send us information or send C4 information. So the EDR or the eligibility determination request, that's initiated by C4 and it goes to CalHEERS. The determination eligibility response then goes from CalHEERS back to C4. Images and NOAAs will move back and forth between CalHEERS and C4. And again, just a reminder, that is a batch overnight process. Anytime that there is information or a DER from CalHEERS, that will go back to C4. All dispositions, once we make that update based on the information that was transmitted from CalHEERS, will go back to CalHEERS from C4.
Now it's working.
Yeah, we had a little technical difficulty there. My little arrows weren't moving. So now you get to see them move. Now in January, once the interface is operational, and FYI, it will be released to the C4 system and ready for operation on December 30th. However, there has been discussions and a decision is still pending between C4 and CalHEERS as to when the cases will actually come over to us. So in January, once that decision has been made, our cases will move from CalHEERS. And when I talk about cases, what I'm saying is that Excel spreadsheet, the MAGI activity report that you're currently working, that is the information that will be sent over. So let's talk about the new screens. We have MAGI images transfer summary. We have the MAGI person detail, MAGI referral detail, MAGI referral search, MAGI determination list, MAGI determination detail, tax household list, tax household detail, information update detail, and MAGI determination summary. The revised screens, as we had mentioned earlier, is the interagency transfer summary that used to be called the targeted low-income summary. There are changes to case summary, and so that we can access the new MAGI pages. Individual demographics have added additional fields for persons who have no Social Security number or they belong to an Indian tribe, and we've added additional ethnicity or ethnic origin. Customer option has had 3 new options added, and Run EDBC, they've added the request to run MAGI determination. So looking at the new screens and the revised screens, we've created, this is part of our journey, we've created our customer, Marcy Lala. She's called up Covered California to sign up for health care coverage, and because it appeared she may be potentially eligible for non-MAGI Medi-Cal, we have been given the application to process. So we will walk through the new screens using Marcy and other test subjects to illustrate the functionality. The first thing we're going to look at is the MAGI referral search page. And how you go to that is, or the navigational path is case info, e-tools, and then a new task is MAGI. We have 4 different types. We have determination change, determination response, referral, and information update. So let me take a brief moment to cover what each of those types are. The determination change is a referral that comes to the C4 system from CalHEERS as a result of eligibility changes in the CalHEERS system. This was not a request from the C4 system, but is for a case that's already established in the C4 system and known to CalHEERS.
Hold on, Debbie. Madera, what are you seeing on your screen? Are you on the MAGI referral search? Can you see that detail page?
Oh, no, no, no. Thanks, Madeira, for letting us know that.
Okay, so you have Marcy's picture.
Ah.
Okay.
It might be a problem. They might want to reload the webinar. Might be their connection speed.
Madeira, we think that's an issue that you're having because everybody else is on the correct screen. You might want to reload. Sorry, everybody, about this.
Yeah, everybody can see it. So let's just sit back for a minute and
Recording will be sent out afterwards.
a recording will be sent out afterwards so that you can replay this webinar, or you can play it for others who were not able to attend.
Okay, Madeira, we're going to go ahead and move on. Go ahead, Debbie. Sorry about this.
Okay. Well, Madeira, just so you know, it will be on this slide for probably 4 or 5 minutes. So back, let's regroup. I was talking about the determination change. Again, this is a referral that has come to the C4 system from CalHEERS as a result of eligibility changes in the CalHEERS system. It was not requested from the C4 system, but is for a case that's already established and known not only to CalHEERS but to the C4 system. In other words, it's pre-linked to the corresponding C4 case. This is a change that will affect eligibility, and the worker will need to make the updates and process that. Determination response. This is a referral that has come to the C4 system from CalHEERS as a result of a determination request that was sent from the C4 system. Since the request was sent from a specific case, this will be pre-linked to that corresponding C4 case. In other words, we have requested a MAGI determination, and CalHEERS is responding to our request. Information change. This is a referral that has come to the C4 system from CalHEERS as a result of changes in the CalHEERS system. This referral does not contain any eligibility determination, as the change to the case did not warrant an updated determination of benefits. For example, or in other words, the worker does not need to run EDBC based on this information change. This is not requested from the C4 system, but is for a case that is already established in the C4 system and known to CalHEERS. This will be pre-linked to the corresponding C4 case. A task is auto-generated when information update is received in the C4 system. And then the referral is our pending MAGI or non-MAGI applications that have been sent to the C4 system from CalHEERS. It may or may not be known to the C4 system, and we are required to link this referral to the C4 case. I just want to stop for a moment and check with Madeira. Have you been able to locate your coordinator? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and move on. Oh, yay.
They're up and running.
Madeira's up and running. Yay. Let's talk about the MAGI referral search page. The date, time, and timestamp hyperlink will take you to the MAGI referral detail page. If the referral has been linked to a C4 case, you will see the case number. Clicking on the C4 case number hyperlink will take you to the case summary page. Sounds like the EAP process, correct? You know, you are going to see different types of status. So let's move on to the next page where we'll talk about the statuses. Now, this is the Magi referral detail page. The status options will be received, in process, reviewed, and complete. So after finding your referral and clicking on the date timestamp, you navigate to the Magi referral detail page where you can link the referral to a new or existing C4 case. The process to link works just like it does for the EAPs from C4 yourself. The best practice is to review the information populated on the screen. If the client has requested an application for other programs, you will see check marks next to each program listed. If the referral shows the client has requested additional programs, follow your county policy in addressing those requests. Once the referral has been linked, we will see the unlinked button. That process remains unchanged. We will also be able to edit the page. Now, the statuses that I was referring to, received means that we have received a referral from CalHEERS. In process is when that referral has been linked to a C4 case. Reviewed, all data collection pages have been reviewed and EDBC is ready to run. Complete means that EDBC has been run and a disposition has been sent to CalHEERS. You can navigate to the Magi Person Detail page by clicking on the Person hyperlink. You will also on this page see the status of the CalHEERS application. So in talking about the CalHEERS determination, you will see pending, ineligible, eligible, or conditionally eligible. In most instances where you would see pending would be the person would be eligible but is currently not due to the income may not be reasonably compatible, they may not be a state resident, they may be incarcerated, the person may be deceased and we have not been given the date of death. If you see ineligible, just the person is not eligible. They're not a state resident. Eligible, they are eligible for the program. The citizenship and Social Security number have been verified. The income is reasonably compatible. They are a state resident, and we have verified through our reaching out to the federal hub that they are not incarcerated, the person's not deceased, or we have received the date of death and it's not in a month prior to the application. Conditionally eligible will show when citizenship verification is incompatible. It could be that whatever status that they have will end 90 days from the date the person is determined conditionally eligible. Social Security number verification ends 60 days from the date the person submitted the application, or their immigration status will end 30 days from the date the person is determined eligible. So we've linked Marcy's referral to a C4 case and now can move on to processing the referral. Oh, Madera's still having problems. So let's take a moment to look at the Magi Person Detail page. Again, you can navigate to this page by clicking on the Person hyperlink located on the Magi Referral page. Again, best practice is to review the page as you do now when processing EAPs. The Person Detail page is formatted in the same flow as EAPs and will show the information captured in CalHEERS, such as who is the primary tax filer and what information has been provided and verified. We only showed part of this screen, but just like in the EAPs, it will when you click on it, you will see a large page. You will see some areas that were open and have information. Other areas will be closed. If you click on the caret, it will uncollapse that information for you. Let's talk about the tax filer information that you'll see on this page. So from CalHEERS, they answered the question, yes, they're a primary tax filer, and that they filed taxes last year, and they filed as head of household. This is information that you're going to populate in the C4 system later on as you process through this application. Verification will also be on this page as well. If you see the column Admin Verified, this is a list of information that's been provided to CalHEERS or to the local county welfare department. The E-Verification lists the information that has been confirmed from the federal hub. If you look down here at the bottom, right here, you see a new button. It's called View Differences. If the response from the CalHEERS has been an information update, when you go to the Magi Person Detail page and click View Differences, the page will refresh, it will reappear, and on our next slide, this is what it looks like. Everything will be, all the information that has been sent over to C4 will show, but when you receive the information update, only the new information will be visible. Other information that has been previously reported will be faded or grayed out. So let's stop for a few minutes and take some questions if we have some questions out there. Okay, our first question from Humboldt, or our first question is from Humboldt, sorry.
The question of the day.
Yeah, the question of the day. Slide 15 under typo on referral search, is it information update or information change? And actually, thank you for bringing that to our attention. It is information update. Lake County, what if there are discrepancies between what is already in C4 and what is reported to CalHEERS? Will there be a report or flag showing the differences? That's a good question. And unfortunately, the material we have doesn't indicate that there will be a report or a flag.
We do have C4 online also. They
Yes.
will be able to answer this.
Yes, I think we have Marcy from C4.
Type in a response.
We're not ignoring you guys. I just want to give C4 staff a few minutes to discuss the question and get back to you with an answer. Thanks for your patience. Well, Lake County, that appears to be more of an eligibility question rather than a functionality question. And I would refer you back to your current processes whenever you discover discrepancies.
You're already working on it, Lake County. Good job.
Yes. So I'm going to let Connie take over and continue with the process.
Another question.
Oh, sorry. We just got another question in, hot off the press. Do you know when the new CalHEERS pages might be added to the training environment? That's a very good question. It's not slated to go into the training environment until February release. There are no plans for it to go in any earlier. And now we see the answer to the discrepancy question from C4. Just to reiterate, there will be no flags for these discrepancies in C4. It would be up to the worker to determine eligibility, validate, and make appropriate changes. Thank you, C4.
Okay, so we're going to continue. Marcy's case has been linked, and we are ready to process the referral in the C4 system. If you look at my case summary, this is a new row. A new administrative role has been added to address the certified enrollment counselor information in CalHEERS. In the CalHEERS system, the CEC is considered an authorized representative. This does not mean the same as in Medi-Cal program. The CEC has been authorized to make and accept changes in the CalHEERS cases, but does not meet the current rules for an authorized representative in the Medi-Cal program. This role is information only in C4. We have a new screen to complete that captures that information on the next slide. The admin role, CEC, if you see our screen up here, that's a new field that it was entered, Certified Enrollment Counselor. You would find this information on the Mandate Referral Detail page under Authorized Representative. Let's move on onto the Customer Information tab. As we move through the non-financial and financial pages, we will see new icons. So let's review our new icons. Some of them, of course, we're used to. When you see and click on the arrows icon, it will show where the information is coming from. One of the new icons is Cover California. And of course, where you start a green tree, that's our See for Yourself. And the target low-income families, as we refer to it, the blue man. So now we're ready to navigate through the non-financial and financial pages so we can process Marcy's referral. In the individual demographics page, there's new fields that were entered. As you can see up in the screen, if the consumer does not have a Social Security, there's a field that says SSN status. The status drop, if you enter no Social Security there, there's going to be another field that opens. So the status drop-down box, the reasons are ATIN/ITIN, ATIN is an adoption tax identification number. ITIN is an individual tax identification number. When a ATIN or ITIN is selected, a new text box appears to allow the user to enter the number if ATIN or the ITIN is selected as a reason for no social. The ATIN or the ITIN text field is mandatory. The options are, the child is under age 1, I do not qualify for a SSN, or religious exemptions. Also on the individual demographics page, this information was also added. So in an effort to obtain information quicker from the federal hub, if this person is a member of the federal recognized Indian tribe, the drop-down box displays on the individual demographics detail page. When yes is selected, the worker needs to answer 2 additional questions on behalf of the customer. To which state does the tribe belong to, and what is the name of the tribe? Really important note here, if the worker does not see that the tribe is not displayed, then they must call in a trouble ticket in order for C4 to confirm with Cover California if the tribe should be added. As we continue in the individual demographics page, under Hispanic, additional ethnicity has been added: Cuban, Puerto Rican, Mexican, other Hispanic. So let's move on to the customer option detail pages. The customer options page will be used to capture the customer's consent to run eligibility against the federal data hub, consent to run renewal eligibility against the federal data hub in the future. So that's MAGI determination at renewal, and request for non-MAGI determination, full medical hierarchy. On the next screen, under customer options, maintain verifications. This includes this is a mandatory field. Maintain verifications for the following years. Options include 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and no tax returns checked at renewal. So this is up to our consumer or customer to let us know how long they want to maintain the verifications on file. They can choose from 1 to 5 years, and if they don't want us to maintain it, they can also say no. Verification consent is used when running initial MAGI determination. Then, I agree to consent for verification is a yes or no. And this is up to the consumer also if yes, they consent, or no, they don't. On the field that you're seeing now on the customer option page, this is really, really important for if the customers do want us to test them for non-MAGI. So the full medical hierarchy is used to indicate that a non-MAGI determination is requested. If an individual is not eligible to non-MAGI, then the option to elect MAGI or non-MAGI will not be eligible. Available in EDBC. So this does have to be completed for each individual household member. The begin date field can be filled with the beginning date of aid or the first of the month for the beginning date of aid. Either response will be okay. The tax household. This has been added to the financial section. This is a mandatory field to run MAGI. This determines the tax filing household status. The screen that you guys are looking at now, it has been completed, but in the next page, we're going to walk you through how to complete it correctly. The tax household detail allows input of filing status, single, head of household, married, filing jointly, or married filing separately. There are only 2 options for dependent types. The non-custodial parent is used when the child is in the home but claimed on taxes by another parent outside the home. You do have to enter each dependent on the tax household detail page. The validation page, the tax household list, sample validation received when attempting to input a duplicate tax household record. So here, two tax filers. We have Grace and Harold, who are a married couple, filing jointly. Grace is the primary tax filer. Keep in mind that two tax filers is different from the primary tax filer. Another screen can be added when a case has two adults. It is not mandatory. Remember, a spouse is not a dependent. The dependents will need to be added to the primary tax filer screen, as mentioned prior. For situations where there is no primary tax filer, such as an undocumented non-citizen, the worker would need to enter no in the primary tax filer field and no in the did this person file taxes the prior year field. Remember, the primary applicant must have this page completed to run Magi determination. The primary tax filer, the tax household detail. Here you see the tax filer, the primary tax filer, the filing year. Is this person expected to be required to file taxes for the given year? It's yes or no. Expected filing status. The drop-down box is going to show you the 4 options that they can choose from. And then spouse, you enter their spouse's name there. Did this person file taxes the prior year? Yes or no. And then prior year filing status. All these fields are important, as you can see the red asterisk next to them. And the dependents. You have to enter each dependent separately. So we have completed all applicable screens for Marcy, and now we are ready to run EDBC. With the C4 interface functionality, we need to request a Magi determination first. Where are you going to find this Magi eligibility? So you're going to locate it right under, oh, sorry about that, right on above Run EDBC. So Magi eligibility is located in the customer information. It is located right above Run EDBC function. Before Magi eligibility can be run, you must have the primary tax filer information completed on the tax household list and the customer option page, and the relationships grid completed. Another important piece of information is the income screens. There must be an earned income screen completed as well in order to request the Magi determination. Even if the client does not have earned income, the worker would enter the earned income screen and enter a 0 value for the amount of income. This is really important, so we could information for us to be able to run Magi. The vital statistics screen will not be mandatory for the Magi determination, but you still need to have this screen completed before EDBC is run for non-Magi referrals. Requesting Magi determination. After the benefit month and Magi determination button has been pressed, this will show on the screen while waiting for CalHEERS and the hub to respond. So if you see up on the screen where it says request Magi determination, your Magi determination request has been submitted. Once the response is received, a link to the result will be provided through the message center. You may navigate to other pages in the meantime. So more about the Magi determination page. The benefit month will default to the future month. This will also show the history of all the benefit months that have been previously ran. To complete a negative action, such a customer withdrawal, you will select the box labeled Request Negative Action Determination. The resulting changes to the page will reflect currently functionality on the negative action task from the case summary. The live change event will determine if the customer is eligible to a special enrollment period, and this information will be located within the Magi referral page.
Okay. I'm sorry, Connie, we had a question. The question is, an earned income screen with 0 value must be completed for each household member, or just the primary applicant in order to request a MAGI determination?
And that's going to be our primary applicant. Or remember, a primary applicant, it could be either parent on the case. So if the other parent that's not selected as a primary applicant, if they have the earned income, you're going to enter that information for them.
And the next question would be, where in the design document does it say this for earned income? It doesn't say it in the current design document. This is one of the last minute changes that we got prior to this presentation, and it's very important information, and we wanted to make sure that you knew this. The next one is, could you expand more on what you said about having to complete the income screens? There does not appear to be any slides on this important requirement. Yes, you're absolutely right. There are no slides available because, as I just said, this was a very last-minute update that we got, which now justifies the reason for follow-up webinars, because decisions are still out there pending. So more changes may be coming before we go live.
So yes, one of the questions is, so at least one earned income record must exist? Yes, that is correct. One.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So this question just came up in the RCC call this morning as to whether an earned income record needs to be input for every member of the tax household. And we don't have a definite answer at this time. I'm going to, so Jason and Jen are at CalHEERS, and I'm going to have them find out if we need to enter an earned income record for children, for example. Unfortunately, income verification is at the person level, and I'm not sure how the federal hub will respond if, like, an income record does not exist at all for a person. So we'll have an answer for you at the earliest we can, probably hopefully by the end of the day today.
Thank you, Ritu.
You're welcome.
So just joining us, everybody, as you can tell, that's Ritu from C4. Good morning, Ritu.
Good morning.
We have another question from Sierra. How long should we expect to wait for the CalHEERS hub to respond?
It's completely outside.
We have been testing with the CalHEERS in our test environments, and right now the response is almost immediate, like in 1 to 3 seconds. However, we do not know how it's going to behave in production. We would have to believe that the response is going to come right away. However, we will have to just wait and see what's going to happen.
We're just going to give it a few minutes because we have other attendees typing. We want to make sure we answer all the questions that pertain to the detail pages we just discussed.
Okay, we have a question from Kern. If we enter an earned income screen, will it change the reporting type for a CalFresh program? Turn that over to C4. Okay. We have a response from C4. They will need to check with the eligibility team on the CalFresh question. We have another question. If the customer does not consent to verification, or in other words, they checked no, will they fail for MAGI? And I believe that they would fail for MAGI, but I would defer back to Ritu for a response. At this time, worker won't be able to request MAGI unless consent exists for the primary tax filer. That's the answer to our question. Then we have another one. Can you clarify your statement regarding the default of the benefit month is the future month? How do we determine the current month? The design of that page was it defaults to the future month. We would have to change it to the current month in order to determine the eligibility for that month. And C4 also says it will behave similar to Run EDBC page. The benefit month is always the upcoming month. And another question is, will these questions be published on the UC site? And yes, we have plans to put yesterday's questions and answers as well as today's questions and answers on the UCD site.
Question from Christine. All the rest of us there too.
And then our next question for the two tax filer example on slide 39, would the user be required to add Harold as a primary tax filer? Would we list the same dependents for Harold as well? Well, according to the CalHEERS rules, you can only have one primary tax filer. So in the example that we used with Harold and Grace, Grace is the primary tax filer and Harold is the spouse, and that information was listed on Grace's slide. There may be situations where we would have Harold as an additional screen, but again, it's not mandatory that we do it. What is mandatory is that we focus on the primary tax filer and making sure all that information is updated correctly. And C4 is saying no for the tax-hold household question.
And that's the question Debbie just answered regarding to primary tax filers for Christine. You're welcome, Christine. At this point, we hope all the questions were answered. If not, like Debbie stated earlier, they will be posted. So let's move on to our next slide. Life change event. These are the options for the special enrollment process. Adoption, birth of a family member, death of a family member, divorce, incarceration status change, they lost their job, they got married, moved into the state, or a new hire. The hub. So the first time a case is ran for MAGI determination, the hub will send back a pending eligibility response. This is due to the fact that the hub cannot check for residency. The recommended process is to run a second MAGI determination for CalHEERS to accept the site verified residency. So what this means here, Debbie stated earlier when she was showing you what was verified or not. If you all remember, some of them said yes, some of them said no. So we all know that they're not going to be able to verify residency. So what we have to do on our side as eligibility, you would go into the not the individual demographics page, sorry, the residency detail page, you would site verify that information, and then that's when you submit the second MAGI determination. In response to the second MAGI determination request, CalHEERS will update residency to admin verify on the MAGI person detail page. This is when the message center appears once the MAGI determination results have been completed. The message center is both case sensitive and worker sensitive. Ideally, these will come back within seconds upon requesting MAGI determination. In the event that there is a lag in response, the message center will show for 1 day upon the receipt of the determination. It will also show on the page you are currently working in or out of the case. The message will automatically drop at the end of the day. The message will show in the workload inventory after it is dropped in the message center. Remember that EDBC cannot be run until after the MAGI determination response, which is also DER, has been received from CalHEERS. So if you look at our next slide, there are 2 hyperlinks in the message. The first indicates the time the message was received and will direct you to the MAGI referral detail page. The second is the case number and will direct you to the case summary. Additionally, the search results summary section updates with the results. By clicking the benefit month hyperlink, you can see additional information.
Excuse me, Connie, we have a question that goes back to residency. How do you site verify residency? And if the residency screen is already completed in C4, why would it come back pending?
So, Debbie, I can answer that question.
Yay!
So CalHEERS always goes or tries to verify information against the federal hub first. So even though the worker has actually site verified residency and requested MAGI determination, the very first time CalHEERS will try to verify against the federal hub. And they will not look at our admin verified flags. So it will come back pending. All that the worker would need to do is re-request MAGI without really changing any information for residency or anything else that they might have already site verified. And the second time around, CalHEERS will look at our admin verified flags because the first time the federal hub came back pending for these verifications. That's the reason you would have to request MAGI the second time, even though you site verified information the first time. And this is a CalHEERS design. It's not something we like, however, it's the way it works right now.
Thank you, Ritu.
Okay, I see that we're having they're typing, Kern is typing a message, so we'll wait a few minutes before we move on. In answer to the original question about site verified, C4 is saying the worker would site verify the residency the way they do it today. And Ritu, Kern has come back with another question. If we are sending the EDR request, why wouldn't it send the residence verification at that time?
We send the residence verification at the first time that you site verify. CalHEERS CalHEERS has the requirement to go to the federal hub, so they don't really look at it the first time we send it. We are sending it.
Thanks, Ritu.
Welcome.
So let's move on.
In our next slide, if you see the message center is still up. So now we're seeing the eligibility worker workload inventory. In the event that a worker is unable to work a message from the message center the same day they receive it, the CalHEERS icon will show when a case has a MAGI determination that needs to be reviewed and completed. The response ID is the unique identifier for each determination. Transaction sent for a case from CalHEERS. Should you ever need to log a C4 trouble ticket or CalHEERS ticket through your county's business process, this ID should be included to expedite research. The date run is the date that the MAGI determination was processed by CalHEERS. Household eligibility identifies the status of the household as a whole. Possible statuses are eligible. All household members are eligible for MAGI. Not eligible. All household members were determined not eligible for MAGI. Partially eligible. At least one household member was determined eligible. All household members were determined eligible for MAGI, and at least one household member was determined not eligible for MAGI. So this is basically a mixed household. Could not determine. At least one household member could not be determined for eligibility. By clicking the customer's name hyperlink, you can access and view the details received from CalHEERS. After the results have returned, you then need to run EDBC. To accept the CalHEERS results into the C4 system, you must run EDBC after request MAGI determination. Previously, EDBC could not be run without a vital statistics record entered for each person. However, keep in mind, since MAGI determines this information through the federal hub, EDBC for MAGI only can be run without a vital statistics record created. So before we move on to EDBC, let's stop for some questions.
Okay, Kern had asked just to clarify, when referring the site vary flags, are you referring the different pages in C4? Our C4 staff promptly responded. Site verified is the verified status on data collection in the C4 pages. So we'll wait just a couple of minutes for any more questions before we move on. And thank you. I see that there's a question or a response coming in from a county, so please bear with us, and thank you. In the event a client is not eligible for Magi, isn't it more prudent to have vitals already on file? That's the question that we just received. My opinion, it is always best practice to fill in the information that you have available to you, even though it may not be applicable to the program that you're running.
So the answer is yes?
C4 is saying yes. So my opinion, and C4 is concurring. All right, so let's move on. We're looking at the screen running EDBC error message. We brought this screen up as a reminder before you can run our normal EDC process. Magi determination must be done first. The determination request will be sent to CalHEERS for confirmation from the federal hub. And we've been going back and forth about that as well. You'll also notice the message indicates that the results must be marked as reviewed. Results must be reviewed after a response has been received from CalHEERS before you run the normal EDBC process. And on the next slide, we'll be talking about that in more detail. After the Magi results have been determined, you then run EDBC in order to send the disposition response back to CalHEERS, who will then generate and send the appropriate notices. If the customer has opted for full Medi-Cal hierarchy, then this is where you can show which choice the customer has made. And we'll demonstrate that functionality on the next slide. I have this slide in front of us that says EDBC results. It's been broken into 3 parts. In the first part, this is the Magi results. They are, we have kid test and mom test. You can see under a new field, elected benefits. You may have instances where you would have a mixed household. It would be more beneficial for one person to elect Magi benefits and another individual to elect non-Magi benefits. So this gives you that opportunity to do so. Again, as you're reviewing your results with your customer, they may decide that they want to change, so this gives them that opportunity as well. Once you have made the selections and you click apply, if they chose Magi, then they will move down to the bottom where I have this highlighted right here on the failed and overridden budgets. That person would show up as Fry. If they selected non-Magi, then you would see the Magi as a failed budget, but that individual as a Fry. Before I move on, I see that somebody's typing, so I'll wait to see if it's a question about this particular screen. Butte County has asked, is there functionality in the system for TMC, CEC? Yes. In our normal EDBC, we would have those options still available. So you would see not only what their results would be for Magi, but you would also see the results for non-Magi if they qualify.
So I can take that question. TMC and CEC are considered consumer protection programs, and these, at least CEC as far as I know, is going to exist in both CalHEERS and C4. Right now we have no policy direction on changing the way CEC currently behaves or end dating CEC altogether, because going forward, CalHEERS would actually be determining CEC for the majority of the population on medical program types. So on 1/1/2014, CEC and TMC are going to behave exactly like the way they do today. When we get policy on how this should change, we will implement the change. At this time, it's how it behaves today.
Thanks, Ritu.
We have another question, Debbie.
So no policy on TMC, CEC, CE, or 4-month on how it changes. That is correct, Butte. Sorry, Kim, if it is determined due to a life-change event that the customer is no longer eligible for MAGI or non-MAGI Medi-Cal, but are eligible for APTC, will C4 case be discontinued when worker runs EDBC? If so, will CalHEERS send information to client regarding plans they can select, or will worker be responsible for sending the plan selection information to the client?
You're correct on the first part of the question. In C4, the Medi-Cal program will be discontinued. APTC is a program managed by CalHEERS. So I would assume that CalHEERS would be sending that plan information. However, that's a question for CalHEERS as to how to proceed in the scenario that someone is eligible to APTC.
Thank you, Ritu. Okay, let's talk about negative actions. In order to run negative action in C4, you'll now have to go back to the MAGI eligibility tab, check the request for negative action determination, select the person, choose a negative action reason from the drop-down, and then click the MAGI or click request MAGI. So basically what we're saying on this screen is you don't just go to case summary and take a negative action. You actually have to take the negative action for MAGI first and then go into case summary and take that negative action. So here's a screenshot where it shows where you click on the request negative action determination, you check the person and select them, and then you request the MAGI. And once you get the response, then you can go into case summary under negative action and take the negative action in the C4 case. Ritu, I have a response from another county. They would like your response to Kim Ferdinand typed in the chat box. How you referred to she was correct that the case would be discontinued, and about the health plans, would CalHEERS be sending them? Is that possible?
Yes, I'm typing it on the chat, and I'm using Melissa's machine because the other one just restarted without any warnings.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Chris Maxwell asked, C4 recently sent out information that they were building in functionality to negative action without going through MAGI. Can you confirm this will happen? And I'm going to leave that to Ritu because I don't have that information.
Yeah, we are adding a new negative action reason, which is called incomplete MAGI application. The worker would be able to use this negative action to discontinue Medi-Cal as long as a case linkage is not established with CalHEERS. So as long as a determination was never requested for the case, the worker would be able to use this negative action reason on the negative action page in C4 and discontinue the Medi-Cal program. and they would use this if the customer is failing to provide information about tax household information, doesn't consent to verification, or any of the reasons or any of the required information that we collect to request Magi is not being provided. That's when the worker would use this negative action reason.
Okay, thank you. Chris, did that answer your question? We also have another question too, Ritu, and referring to negative action. Is client request not an option to discontinue Magi?
To discontinue Magi, you would still have to request a negative action Magi, and you wouldn't be using the other negative action reason, which is incomplete Magi application. Yes, a client request to discontinue Magi is a valid reason to discontinue them from Magi, and you would do a negative action Magi, run them through negative action page in C4, and proceed from there.
And Christine wants to know if this new negative action will be in the release at the end of December.
Yes.
Yes. Good. And I see another county's typing. If we take a negative action and mark the incomplete application, will C4 generate the appropriate NOAA?
C4 will generate a discontinuance NOAA, yes. Or denial NOAA, depending on whether it's intake or continuing case.
All right, thank you. Any more questions before I move on? I see someone else is typing.
That is me, Debbie. I'm answering the APTC question in writing.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to move forward, and we're going to talk about the interagency transfer summary. This placeholder was called the targeted low income summary. It's now going to be called the interagency transfer summary. So when CalHEERS sends to the C4 system a determination of eligibility, regardless of whether it was requested in the C4 system or was initiated by CalHEERS, we are required to send a disposition of determination back to CalHEERS. This disposition includes the C4 case number, the C4 worker information, and the customer's preferred written language. On the next slide, we'll see the referrals and transactions. So you'll actually see what the summary will look like. And you'll, for this specific case, you will see the types of interaction that have happened between C4 and CalHEERS. The agency drop-down filter automatically defaults to all. Currently, the options available will be Healthy Families and CalHEERS. The type drop-down filter is dynamic and will change based upon the agency selected. You can also review all of the transactions by date, from, and to, also by status, complete, in process, and reviewed. If you haven't already kind of picked up on this summary will be long because it will be every transaction between CalHEERS and C4 on this specific case, hence the reason for all the different filters. The IAT summary will only show the CalHEERS communication that was associated to this case, which I said. At the beginning of the presentation, we discussed how the images and NOAAs would be communicated or flow between the two systems. So let's move on to images. So the Magi Images Summary. Get rid of my pointer. The navigation path is eligibility, distributed documents, and the new option, Magi Images Summary. When CalHEERS sends the C4 system a determination of eligibility, whether it was requested in the C4 system or it was initiated from the CalHEERS access channel, the C4 system is required to send a disposition of determination back to CalHEERS. This disposition includes the C4 case number, the C4 worker information, and the customer preferred written language. Once the notice is generated, the CalHEERS packages the notices and any images that the customer may have uploaded during the day into a single bundle of documents to be sent to the C4 system. The C4 system receives these bundles of documents for each case and extracts the images and notices. The images are put into the imaging system and assigned to the worker associated to the case, just like in the EICT process. The notices are saved into the C4 file management system and associated to the case so the workers can view it on the distributed document search page. The notices are scheduled to be sent out through batch on the same night that they are received. Oh. So moving on to the next slide, to access the Magi Image Transfer Summary, click on Distributed Documents from the global bar, click on Magi Image Transfer Summary. The screen will functionally run the same as distributed documents. You'll be given the choice to search using certain criteria such as range of dates. You'll notice that there are buttons labeled View Image. This will take you to Web Now to view the image. The document will also need to be indexed, similar to how we currently receive images from other counties with EICTs. CalHEERS will send all documents that the customer uploads into CalHEERS as one package once a day. On our next slide, we'll see what the summary looks like. So, like I said earlier, you have the transfer date range that you can use to filter. In this summary, we have 4 from the test environment. We have bank verification, other correspondence. It will only display images that were sent to CalHEERS. This will help the worker to identify what's been sent to CalHEERS through automated batch process in the event that there are questions. For inbound images, the worker may see anything sent from CalHEERS in the normal imaging workflow queue. Again, this follows the same process that's in place for See for Yourself, like SAR-7s, and inbound EICTs. Now, outbound images, so when a new image is associated to a case, a process extracts the image that has not yet been sent to CalHEERS and bundles them up for transfer. This is to try to keep CalHEERS and the C4 system in sync with respect to the associated documentation on a case. County workers need to associate images to the case as they currently do today. In other words, you're going to index them following the current process. Okay. Before I move on, we'll wait for appears the questions coming in. Now, the question from Humboldt is the document type coming from CalHEERS, or is it what we've indexed it as? And I believe we had that question yesterday, Ritu.
And I assume you're asking about incoming image documents? And if it's incoming, yes, the document type will come over from CalHEERS. For outgoing ones, we will send them the document type.
We hope we answered your question. Thank you. And thank you, Ritu. So moving on, we've met our objectives today. We've discussed the communication flow between C4 and CalHEERS. We reviewed the new screens that have been created so we can capture that information collected by the covered California agents. Reviewed the revised screens that needed to, again, capture information that was collected by the covered California agents. We reviewed the MAGI determination request functionality and the message center functionality and how images and notices of action will be stored in the system. We'd like to open it up again one last time for any questions that anyone might have. Siskiyou, I see that you wanted us to repeat, so what would you like us to go back over again? I see that we have a couple of people that are typing away in the chat box, so we'll give them a few more minutes.
Or you did tell them to hold their applaud to the end.
That's true, I did. Okay, here's our first question from Isabel. If a client is in need of immediate medical assistance, can we do an urgent meds update, or do we have to wait for CalHEERS response from the federal hub?
Something they want to keep in mind, remember we're supposed to receive that information within, like Ritu stated, 1, 2, 3 seconds. So if that's true, which that's the way it looks like it's working, then it's even going to be quicker than meds.
Thank you. Now, from Christine, can you confirm that the new screens will not be available for use until January 2nd? It's my understanding that the release, everything will be available on December 30th. It's just that we may not be using these, some people may not be using these screens until we get the cases from CalHEERS. Ritu, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, actually, let me go back to Isabel's question. If a client is in need of immediate medical assistance, can we do an urgent meds update? So to even do an urgent meds update, you still need to collect all the information that's required to determine that they are eligible to those benefits, right? So when you're having that information, you might as well input it into the system, wait for a response to come back, and take it from there. As C4, we cannot tell you that you can go to meds and do that. That's a county policy, and it's up to your management to make that decision. Regarding new screens will not be available until Jan 2nd. So the deployment date is December 29th. However, the Magi related screens will show in the system after January 1st, like on or after January 1st, 2014.
Okay, so Christine, we answered both your questions?
And regarding Christine's question about is that Magi determination not available till 1/2014, correct. And we still don't know if CalHEERS is going to go live on 1/2014. On a couple of calls, it's come up that it might be the 6th, and when a final word is out, we will send out some sort of CIT to let the counties know when everything will take effect. As of now, it's 1/2014, 1/1/2014.
We have another person typing. Okay. Just a couple more minutes. Give everyone an opportunity to ask questions if they need to. Again, another reminder, we will take the questions and answers from yesterday and the questions and answers from today and compile them into a document and post them on the UC Davis website. You can also view a recording of this session at the website as well. Well, we got a response saying thanks for the presentation, and on behalf of...
One county just raised their hand.
Oh, okay.
Someone's raising their hand.
All right.
One county.
Glen County is. So you're all excited.
Oh, here
all
comes
these
the applause,
changes.
guys. Oh, thank you so much. That is so awesome. Thank you, guys. So with that, thank you for participating, and we'll release you to go back to the fun business of determining eligibility. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ritu.
Sure, thank you for bringing this webinar out to the counties. I know that every opportunity they get to see the functionality over and over again makes it a little more easier to start on 1/1/2014. And thank you for doing it on behalf of the C4 project.
You're welcome. Anything to make the county's job easier.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we'll be looking forward to working with you on the follow-up webinars.
Sure. I'm just not sure if we have time to go through all this all over again, like in terms of updating the changes, representing it, considering we're 2 weeks away. So that was my only hesitation.
Just to stay excited and motivated, and things are going to roll out.
Yeah.
I agree.
Have a great day, Ritu.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The chairperson has disconnected. The conference will now end.